Good afternoon. My name is Joshua Alvarado, and this is my PowerPoint on psilocybin. What is psilocybin? Psilocybin is a chemical compound that can be obtained from certain types of hallucinogenic mushrooms. These mushrooms can be found in Mexico, South America, and northwest regions of the United States. Psychedelic plants and fungi have been used in indigenous medical traditions for millennia. Modern psychedelic research began when Albert Hofmann first synthesized LSD in 1938, and 5 years later, he became the first person to ingest LSD. The Dark Ages of Magic Mushrooms. In the 1960s, psychedelics became an important symbol in the counterculture movement in the US and the UK. Their frequent use inspired Albert Hofmann to synthesize LSD, which became extremely popular. Because of their rising popularity and disillusionment with the system, the psychedelics caused at the 1971 UN Convention of Psychotropic Substances, psychedelics were banned. In 1968, the US federally banned psilocybin. 2 years later, it was labeled a Schedule I drug, along with cannabis and LSD. Leveraging fear and fraudulent research, President Nixon passed the Controlled Substance Act in 1971, launching the extremely harmful war on drugs. Because of this ban, all of the research and benefits of psilocybin stopped. Magic mushrooms research begins again. 30 years into the late 1990s, psilocybin was put on hold. The University of Zurich started conducting research in 1997. The study, which found that psilocybin increases brain activity, catalyzed research at other institutions as well. It was found that psilocybin not only increases brain activity, but may also be effective at treating numerous psychological conditions and chronic pain. These promising findings have led to a loosening of restrictions and the push for decriminalization and legalization across the country. After a decades-long hiatus in the 2000s, the research group at Johns Hopkins were the first to obtain regulatory approval in the United States to reinitiate research with psychedelics and volunteers. The 2006 publication on the safety and enduring positive effects of a single dose of psilocybin is widely considered the landmark study that sparked a renewal of psychedelic research worldwide. At the Center for Psychedelic and Consciousness Research, researchers focused on how psychedelics affect behaviors in mood, cognition, brain function, and biological markers of health. The effects of psilocybin on the brain. Like LSD and other psychedelics, psilocybin plugs into the serotonin 2A receptors in the brain and activates them. These receptors appear in particularly high quantities in specific regions of the wrinkled cerebral cortex that are involved in the high-level cognitive function like introspection and executive functioning, said Carhart Harris. After exposing to psilocybin, these receptors undergo a kind of rest that brings their creativity back to the line with a typical healthy brain that's not depressed. So just a person that's normal, living their life. Action at the serotonin 2A receptors seem to be part of the picture of psilocybin's mechanism of action, although more research is needed to fully understand how the receptors and the associated brain regions change following exposure to the drug, Orton said. The benefits of psilocybin. Psilocybin can assist with long-term depression. Psilocybin can increase the effectiveness of psychotherapy. Psilocybin can enhance emotional balance and mood. Psilocybin may help to prevent cure addictions. Psilocybin's effect on depression. Psilocybin fosters greater connections between different regions of the brain in depression people with depression, freeing them up from long-held patterns of rumination and excessive self-focus, according to a new study by scientists at UC San Francisco and the Imperial College of London. The discovery points towards a general mechanism through which psychedelics may be acting therapeutically on the brain to alleviate depression and possibly other psychiatric conditions that are marked by fixed patterns of thinking. This is an image of the brain under depression. The depressed brain encouraged through patterns that impact well-being. This can be viewed as a landscape with deep wells that make it difficult for the patients to move between different thoughts and perspectives. The brain waves with psilocybin. Psilocybin therapy flattens the brain's landscape and opens up the rigidity of the depressed to allow new thoughts, insight, and perspectives to emerge. The brain after psilocybin treatment. Post-treatment, a flattened landscape makes it easier for the patient to experience healthier flexibility and diversity in their thought patterns. Images by Richard Dawes, King's College of London. Thank you to him. So this is David J. Nutt, MD, Professor of Neuropsychology Pharmacology at Imperial College. He stated, 1 dose of psilocybin does in 30 seconds what antidepressant does take in 3 to 4 weeks. So in 30 seconds, 1 dose of the psilocybin treatment can do what an antidepressant pill takes 3 to 4 weeks to take effect. So very profound, and it's natural. What is nature? What if nature has the key to cure depression? For the first time, we find that psilocybin works differently from conventional antidepressants, making the brain more flexible and fluid and less entrenched in the negative thinking patterns associated with depression, said Dr. David Nutt, head of London's Imperial Centre for Psychedelic Research. After treatment, which includes talk therapy, scientists also reported that participants were open and less emotionally avoidant, and also saw improvements in their cognitive function. The beneficial effects of psilocybin lasted until the study ended. 3 weeks after the second dose of psilocybin, the same couldn't be said for Lexapro, antidepressant. And these are my references. And this is the same professor that this is about. Thank you for watching my presentation. I really appreciate your time.